I need a moment. I need a moment to breathe for a second. I don't know how long you've been doom scrolling, but there's no shame here. We're just going to pause, though. We're going to take a moment. My dog is growling at nothing. I'm going to drink some coffee. Maybe save the video, go get a drink, go get some tea, coffee, but we're going to hang out. I have no intention of editing this video, pausing it, so whatever happens, happens. But today, we're going to talk about something really interesting. Please don't mind my voice. I'm still recovering from the flu, and I have bronchitis and laryngitis, and it's freezing in here. But we're going to talk about something interesting. Excuse me. We're going to talk about different ways that you can work with divinity. Hi, if you're new here, this is kind of like baseline. We're going to start at the beginning. What the hell is deity work? What does that even mean? It means what it sounds like, working with gods. Any god. What's really fascinating is even if you identify as Christian, you are still doing deity work. That's kind of cool, right? Like we're all doing the same thing, whether it's through the lens of monotheism, which is working with one singular god. And there is aspects of duality in monotheism, and or polytheism, which is what it sounds like, working with multiple gods. No matter what, you're still going to have an opportunity to choose how you work with these gods. And I have this written down. This is my UPG, which is unverified personal gnosis, okay? So it's my perspective. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. In other words, use your discernment. Apply what feels good and leave what doesn't. All right, so let's start at the beginning. I want to start with something that I wrote as I was writing my book. I'm writing a book right now to help people practice a little bit more fluidly and authentically without being heavily indoctrinated or like influenced by other people. And so something that I'll talk about in particular with the Infernal Divine is that they're not bound to a single method of connection. So you can work with them in multiple different ways, okay? So just like human relationships, and they can take many, many forms. Some are practical, some are intimate, some are devotional. It doesn't really matter, right? And this is very similar with the Infernal Divine. But I've kind of distilled it down to 7 common pathways. And I want to make sure you understand that these categories are not rigid. So they're kind of like living dynamics. In other words, they can change and evolve over time because we change and evolve, but so does the divine. And some of these dynamics do overlap. In other words, like you can, after I explain them to you, you may say like, well, wow, I work with them in like multiple of these ways. And that's totally fine too, and very common and very normal. So the first way is transactional. Okay. And this is a very straightforward approach. Okay. I give, you give. So there's offerings, rituals, and promises, and they are exchanged for a very specific outcome. So whether that outcome is protection, prosperity, knowledge, or influence, that is still transactional. Okay, so I give you something, you give me something. That is a transactional pathway of working. And there are strengths to this, okay, because there's clear structure. You know that, hey, I gave you this offering and now I have this expectation. Typically, if done properly, there's quick results, and then there's direct expectation. My caution with this type of working is that when the relationship is only transactional, it remains shallow. Like any other contract, when the exchange is over, it is over, and sometimes that means so is the bond itself. So that's the first one. The second one is non-transactional. So here, the connection becomes more like a friendship. You speak to them, typically in meditation, and I'll do a whole other video on that. You share your thoughts and feelings, and you honor them, not because you expect something in return, but because you value the relationship itself. Okay? And the strength here is that it builds trust and intimacy. It opens the door to deeper connections and deeper bonds. But my caution to you is that just like in human friendships, this type of relationship, non-transactional, it requires reciprocity. It requires an attention to detail and care about the relationship, and it requires you to not keep score, because a non-transactional relationship is genuinely just about showing up, okay? The third way is coevolution. So this path is about personal growth. It's about personal growth alongside a divine being. So at this point, you're seeking their guidance, their correction, their perspective, and in turn, you allow yourself to be reshaped by them. So basically, they become a mirror and a teacher, and they are showing you your blind spots in life, ultimately helping you refine your character. So the strength here is that it fosters incredible transformation between you and the divine and resilience in the relationship. It creates very literally a living mentorship dynamic between you and a divine being, which is very cool. My caution is that growth here is not comfortable. So you got to be ready for them to challenge you. So number 4, co-creation. Okay. Here, you're partnering with the divine as collaborators. You're bringing your skills, your ideas, your creativity, okay? And while they contribute insight, okay, and inspiration and momentum, with co-creation, this is an acknowledgement that together, you and the divine, you're manifesting together, whether that's art, projects, structures in the world, okay? The strengths here is that it produces tangible outcomes infused with literally the divine themselves. And this deepens a sense of purpose within the human, and it's a shared purpose, which can be so beautiful. My caution is that this path requires humility, a lot of it. You've got to be willing to let the divine actually shape your vision, and those visions have to mingle. It cannot be yours solely. You do not have sole ownership over your vision when you are co-creating. Number 5 is service. So it's what it sounds like. The approach is less about what you want and more about aligning yourself with their will. So this is my take, okay? So I don't care to go around saying I'm a priestess. I don't give a shit. What I prefer is for you to know that I'm in service to Lucifer. So this approach is less about what you want and more about aligning yourself with their will. So you become their hands carrying out their work in the world, and it reflects their current, their energy, and their desires, whether it be modern or ancient. And this can mean dismantling structures, amplifying their truth, creating sanctuaries for people. It's a wonderful path because it strengthens devotion and action, and it builds a life of purpose beyond self-interest, okay? But service must be entered freely, not from fear. Otherwise, it becomes enslavement and not devotion. So we're at 9 minutes here. I'm probably going to have to make a part 2. Part 2 will go over worship, because that's number 6, and then I'll go over all of it together. And then there is a 7th path, and I'll address that in the secondary video, okay? But I hope that this was somewhat helpful. If you want to close the app and take a pause from doom scrolling, go for it. If not, go back to scrolling, but know that you took 10 minutes to yourself to learn something, and I'm proud of you for that. Thanks for hanging out with me. Have a good rest of your day.